Shamfa Cudjoe, she's here with us. The Minister of Sport, Shamfa Cudjoe, is here with us to talk and community development, to talk mainly about the Commonwealth Youth Games. Minister, welcome. I know you just came from a meeting, and I'm sorry to have rushed you away from that meeting, obviously.
Thank you, Andre. A hearty good evening to all of you here at I95 and to Trinidad and Tobago. It's a real pleasure to be here with you this evening.
What's the latest? I mean, because we're hearing so many different things. I've heard things about readiness of the various locations. What's going on in terms of that? Is everything okay?
We're doing the very best that we can. We're 8 days to Commonwealth Youth Games. This is the first time Trinidad and Tobago is getting to host a multi-sport event of this nature, where we will be having 7 disciplines, 4 in Tobago, 3 in Trinidad. You have cycling at the Cycling Velodrome and at Brian Lara Cricket Academy. We also have aquatics taking place at the National Aquatic Centre, and of course athletics taking place at the newly refurbished Hasty Crawford Stadium, and the facilities in Trinidad are just about ready. In Tobago, we have a Rugby 7 taking place at Shaw Park, recreational facility, or Shaw Park Field as we know it to be. We have netball taking place at the cultural complex, what we know to be the cultural complex. We now call it the multi-purpose complex, because when this was built many years ago, it was built for both culture and sport. We have the triathlon taking place in the community of Buku, and those races would end at the Buku goat race facility.
Okay.
And of course, you have beach volleyball, which is supposed to take place at the beach volleyball facility, which is still being built.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've been told that the sand, is it a special sand that was being ordered?
Yes, there's a special grade of sand that is available in Guyana, and the Tobago House of Assembly is responsible for that project and for completing the project and bringing in the sand and getting that facility ready. A matter of fact, beach volleyball was supposed to take place at Pigeon Point, and the pretty late in the game, in March of this year, the Assembly decided to change its mind, and that they wanted a beach volleyball facility. As much as I am all in support for having a beach volleyball facility or beach sport facility in Tobago West, of course, a stone throw away from where I live, I always was concerned about the readiness, the ability to deliver in time, because we had promised to finish all different facilities by the end of June, so that July would be used as the month for doing test games. So we pushed. At first we said July 7th, then July 14th, and here we are now to the final days of July. I must commend the Tobago House of Assembly on, really pursuing this initiative, this project, and trying to get to completion. But the truth is, we are not at the stage of completion as yet, because the sand is not here. Last week when we met in Tobago, we were told by Mr. Leacock, who is the head of the Tobago House of Assembly Task Force managing things in Tobago, that the sand was on its way and it was going to be there by weekend. So therefore we had planned
slow boat.
We had planned to complete all activities for testing by the 29th of July, which is this weekend. But unfortunately, that's not going to take place for beach volleyball. What I understand today is a new set of information that says that the boat will leave Guyana tomorrow, on Saturday morning, like about 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. on Friday, 12 a.m. on Saturday morning, and get to Tobago by 2 a.m. on Sunday. And the information is that they would lay out the sand and the 2 courts, hopefully on Sunday and Monday, and we can have a test match on Tuesday. Now, that's the information from the Tobago House of Assembly. Of course, we've received different information in the past. The Commonwealth Games Federation President, Dame Louise, has written to me stating her concern and her disappointment that we are not ready as yet as it relates to beach volleyball. And I kind of want to tell her, Dame Louise, I told you so. Because it's not that I didn't want the facilities to be built. There's a bad rumor being spread in Tobago that Shamfa is against the facility, and I kept saying from day one, yes, I'm for the facility, but I do have concerns about this facility being
I remember we talked about it before.
On time, you know. So that's our major challenge now, because if anything goes wrong, I, as signatory to the contract representing the government of Trinidad and Tobago, hold full responsibility as the sole guarantor. So any expenses that would be incurred from anything going wrong would rest on the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the Ministry of Sport, through the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. So, of course, very concerned. Earlier this year, I wrote to Dame Louise, president of the CGF, stating, yes, I'm in full support of the House of Assembly building the facility. They want this as a legacy project. We want this as a legacy project, but I must state my concerns as it relates to the readiness for testing games and so on. And right now, here we are in that predicament.
When was the first volleyball game due to start?
The test games were supposed to be completed by July 29th, and the first game is scheduled for August 5th. Now, if the sun really does get here in time, then of course we've already started discussions about shifting the start date from the 5th, but I am going to rest on the word of the Assembly. I still am trusting in the Assembly even at this point, where they have committed and they said that the sand is going to leave Guyana very early on Saturday morning. The only time we would know whether or not that sand has left on Saturday morning is Saturday morning. Yes, we're pushing tight, but I have to trust the word of the Assembly on this one, and if anything goes wrong, it falls on me. It falls on the government.
Is there a fail-safe, meaning that suppose the sand doesn't arrive on Sunday, is there another venue that can be used?
Well, that's a challenge, because even if these athletes are already, arrangements already made for these athletes and the officials to be housed in Tobago at the different hotels.
So it has to be in Tobago anyway.
In Tobago, we've already paid that money as a government. As a government, we've invested $35 million to the Trinidad and Tobago Commonwealth Games Association. Of that $35 million, at least $14 million is in 5,000 hotel room nights at hotels in Tobago and in Trinidad to house these athletes. If we are to bring those athletes back to Trinidad to use the facility in Trinidad, we would lose out on the monies already paid to the hotels in Tobago. Of course, Tobago would lose out on that economic activity. And to be quite frank, we don't have the quality hotel rooms to house these athletes in Trinidad. We have booked out the Bricks Hotel, we've booked out the Hyatt, Cara Suite and so on, the Radisson and so on, towards as it relates to hosting these games, and we really don't have the number of rooms and room nights in order to facilitate moving the games back to Trinidad. It's a lot of logistical issues that would arise, so we're really not looking in that direction. The other option would be to getting sand, a different grade of sand out of Trinidad and laid out at Dwight York Stadium.
Right.
But I'm trying not to look in that direction just yet, as the Mr. Leacock from the task force has assured me, and I spoke with Farley. I finally got the opportunity to speak with the Chief Secretary on Tuesday night. We were at a golf event in Tobago, and I said, Chief Secretary, we need to huddle, because I had requested meetings over the months, and the House of Assembly, members of the House of Assembly, not the Secretary of Sport, not the Assistant Secretary of Sport, not the Chief Secretary, nobody would meet with me or even pretty much acknowledge that, hey, we have an issue here. So we're really between a rock and a hard place right now, and I just had to get to the Chief Secretary and said, hey, we have an issue. We need to huddle. This is the situation. What can we do? What kind of backup plan? And we talked about having a late test game, either on the 2nd or the 3rd, and if push comes to shove, we would have to move the starting day for volleyball. So that really is the area of our biggest challenge, that beach volleyball facility. Of course, if the sun gets here on time and is laid out on time.
But it's already late, isn't it? It's already late, though.
It is already
Yeah,
late,
'cause
to be
that's
honest. We were unable to do the test games at the time that we said we would have done them. So even today, the Commonwealth Games Federation representative, they're saying they're very concerned, and we've requested from the Tobago House of Assembly a real receipt, a copy of a confirmation that this son is really going to leave Guyana on Saturday morning. We need to see some document that proves the same,
But
because we've been given a date before
why would
and
the
that didn't
Tobago
come
House of
through.
Assembly, and this is a difficult question, Mr. but I still ask you, why would the Tobago House of Assembly not want the son to come? It doesn't logically make sense.
I don't think the THA doesn't want the son to come. I think they've just moved late on this. There are some issues relating to getting the boat out of Guyana and here on time. But at the end of the day, what happened or didn't happen, the general public isn't concerned about that. Neither the athletes coming from abroad, the officials, the families who are coming to support their athletes and really have a grand experience in Trinidad and Tobago for the Commonwealth Youth Games. We can't tell them that. So I'm really concerned about that, as I had been before, but I'm keeping hope alive and being optimistic. And I hope that by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, the CGF has asked to see a copy of the document that states that, yes, that the son is
how
going
have
to
you
be
dealt
coming
with the
from
CGF?
Guyana.
Because it must get a little bit difficult dealing with them, because they knowing how these English people behave at times, they will be wanting to stick to certain deadlines, and there is some pressure on that.
Of course, there is some pressure, of course, on me, pressure on the government, and more specifically the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. But the documents would say, the record would show that from day one I had placed on the record my concerns with moving the location at this late minute and whether or not the facility would be completed in time. My earlier letters to the CGF president stated there is no better time for Trinidad and Tobago, or even for Tobago, to utilize this opportunity to build a facility. Yes, and I am, even though there were concerns about the environment, my letter shows that in the 21st century, in 2023, we must find a way where we can build a facility that is economical, that is environmentally sound and safe. So therefore, I support the building of the facility. However, I place on the record my concern as to whether the facility would be completed in time so that we can have the test matches by the end of June, and we can be in a place where we can say, yes, we're truly ready. As I said before, I'm keeping hope alive, and I'm hoping that this time the Assembly is accurate in its comments as to the boat leaving, and I look forward to seeing that document tomorrow morning that proves in truth and in fact.
So you all have asked them for the document?
Yes, because we got verbal confirmation from Mr. Leacock at the meeting today, and the CGF representative said, I need to see a document. Because I've been given
seeing is believing.
News
That's
before.
that's not a good sign for Mr. Leacock and his team, that someone is asking to see the documents, even though you would have given a commitment. What about the role in all of this of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, Diane Henderson? How have they dealt with this?
Well, Ms. Henderson is a part of the local organizing committee, and I think even Ms. Henderson and the members of the committee are concerned because they know that we have been saying, hey, we are worried. We've been asking for documents as it relates to the completion date and so on, and we haven't received that. But the CGA themselves have been saying, yes, we're confident that it would come through, and all we had for comfort was the words of the Tobago House of Assembly. But in truth and in fact, we don't have any document to show anything that the sun is really on its way and we're ready to go.
When you would have huddled, let me use your word, when you would have huddled with Chief Secretary Farley on Tuesday, what did he say in connection with this?
Well, on Tuesday he said that the boat would be loaded on Wednesday, and we should be looking at a departure somewhere like Thursday. Well, today is Thursday, and I understand that departure has not taken place just yet, so I'm now hearing today a new piece of information.
So maybe he didn't know about.
Maybe he didn't know, and maybe now we really do have the information. So I am trusting once again that information is now accurate and that the sand would really leave Guyana on Saturday morning. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
How big an embarrassment would this be for Trinidad and Tobago, Minister?
You see, this is our first time as Trinidad and Tobago hosting a multi-sport game. We have the facilities. We have the facilities, cycling. We have a UCI accredited facility, the only training center of that nature in the Caribbean. We have the National Aquatic Center where we're working with FINA to make that a development hub for a development center for the region. You know, we have the facility. We are newly refurbishing Hazley Crawford Stadium. We have over 1,800 volunteers who are hyped up and ready. Our national governing bodies are more than ready to perform and to compete, and our people are excited about hosting 71 countries, 1,000 athletes, and over 500 officials. So I think Trinidad and Tobago, we're ready. It's just a matter of this facility, and I'm trusting God and trusting the word of the Tobago House of Assembly that this sand really is on its way, and they can lay out those 2 courts Monday, Tuesday. We can hopefully have a test event on Wednesday, Thursday, and we're hoping all goes well. The weather is in our favor. The stars are aligned, right? That we're
the
able
weather,
to
because
really
if
push off.
you get rain, that's going to be a hell of a difference. All right, so let's talk something positive. Let's talk a little bit about what is going good too. The Hazley Crawford Stadium, I know there's going to be track and field this weekend, so we're going to get a better idea of what's going on in this stadium, because we're going to be there too as well live. What are your thoughts about the refurbishment?
I am pleased about that. We had our first test event a couple of weeks ago with the national championships, and we have the junior championship taking place again this weekend. The feedback from Mr. Commission from the entries have been very, very positive. I think the athletes are pleased and excited. I'm happy that the escalator and the elevator
the escalator is working?
Yes,
Tom,
sir.
that must be the greatest news ever. Although I don't
Yeah.
mind to walk, but to have an escalator, that's years that escalator has been working, Minister.
And this is the year that para athletics going to be introduced to the Commonwealth Youth Games for the very first time. So no better time.
Yeah.
And I'm
escalator.
really excited about
just remember
that.
Certainly. All right, so here we are. We all know about the cycling. What are you expecting in terms of support? I know that children under 18 years, and since you person under 18 years, yes. I'm not say children, person under 18 years are free. What does that mean?
Free. So we have made arrangements with the Ministry of Education that the same bus system and arrangement that they have with the taxi drivers to bring the young people out to the different locations to support the games, to ensure that we fill the stands, and the young people really take the opportunity to embrace all that is taking place and experience what it's like being at games of this nature. We're ramping up sport in schools, and we want to build that excitement among the young athletes and among teachers and principals, parents, and so on. So those maxi taxis will be shuttling the youngsters to the games. Youth groups, we're inviting you all to come all down. It's 18 years and under, free. And for those who are over 18, it's a very cheap cost of $30. $30 TT to enter.
Tom?
You can, yes.
$30, Minister?
Yes, you can get your
30. No, hold on.
30.
I want to understand this.
Less than a burger.
$30, by far less than a burger. $30, you're saying, you know?
Yes, $30. Because we want our people to come
out. That is very cheap.
Yes, the government has already invested $35 million.
$30. Tom, I can't believe it, I know. $30.
Only 30.
Only
$30. So we want people to come out and just really be a part of these games. Tickets are available on www.tickets.com, and at all the venues we have printed tickets for sale, because there are some people who don't have a credit card or not into buying tickets online. So we're asking everybody to come on down. You're going to have prizes and so on distributed by the Ministry of Tourism Trinidad. You have Tobago House of Assembly Tobago will be on TTAL doing their different promotions, and the different sponsors going to be there to really hype up the event and get people going and excited. So we hope all of Trinidad and Tobago come out and join in the action. The schedule is available.
So I want to add that. That's what I want to ask you now about the opening ceremony. I understand it's on the 4th. What are some of the plans in terms of that? Because are you directly involved in the opening ceremony? Who is involved? Because the government would have given $35 million. And Tom, if the government gave $35 million, and I'm not sure how much was given by the Commonwealth Games, I have no idea, or if any was given at all. So the government, how much is the government invested in that? Besides the money, are you all involved in the opening? How is it working?
Well, all the departments of the government have dedicated their time, their talent, their resources to making this a success. Like I just came from the LOC meeting, and you have down to the Ministry of Works, the management of the traffic lights to ensure that athletes get to the games on time and that we have proper flow of traffic and so on. We had immigration on board, customs on board, Ministry of Finance, TTPS telling us.
When I'm most expected to arrive, because August the 4th is just next week.
Our biggest days for arrivals, the 30th, the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd. The numbers start going down.
Okay, so 30th.
From the 2nd.
So that's basically from Sunday.
Yes, today the CGF, the Commonwealth Games Federation executives and representatives started coming in.
Okay.
So they are already on the ground. So we're looking forward to having a lot of excitement.
Well, tell us about the opening.
The opening.
Yeah, because normally when Tony Lee and myself we travel to all these events, the opening ceremony is considered to be a prize event for all international. What are they?
On the 4th, Tribe. They are going to be hosting the event for us. They go by another name. I think it's United Events or Universal Events. I don't remember what they call themselves. But Tribe is going to be
Tribe committee anyway.
There's a Tribe committee. They're going to be doing the opening show. So they're going to be practicing from next week around the 1st, 2nd.
So is it? I remember that someone was saying, and you can correct me, that it was going to be simulcast. Is this a simulcast opening show, or how does it work? Or is it meaning that it's part in Tobago at the opening at the same time?
Yes. Oh yes. So the bulk of the event for the opening will be taking place in Trinidad, but those gathered in Tobago are going to be able to see it on a big screen. Yes. So you can go to Tobago. So people in Tobago can see the very same thing that's taking place in Trinidad in real time, and you can follow the games also on YouTube, so that people all over the world can follow what's taking place with Commonwealth Youth Games. So we're looking forward to a rich.
Do you all have something special? Because most of these events, when we go to them, they always have something special for their opening.
Well, Tribe told us it's a surprise. So
a surprise.
Come on down. Everything.
All right,
anything with Tribe is excitement, and we just expect people to come out and really have a good time and support.
What's been besides the Tobago factor? What has been the biggest challenge, Minister, in terms of ensuring that these games come off well enough that Trinidad and Tobago is again highlighted? I know Brian Lewis would have been, and we had Brian Lewis actually spoke about something recently, but we know that this was the brainchild of Brian Lewis and his team at the time. Would have been Reza Grant would have been one of those involved in it too as well, and Lovey Santana and Quincy John, certainly, and I know some others too as well. But from your perspective, tell us a little bit from your idea, the challenges.
I would say we got notice that the games were still on pretty late, because this was supposed to be the Commonwealth Youth Games 2021, and it was first won by Ireland. Yeah, and then they lost the opportunity. So we went back and we bid for it in 2018, 2019. But then you had the onset of COVID, and we were not sure if the games were going to happen, because nobody knew when COVID would end. It was only June last year that we got notification from the Commonwealth Games Federation that, hey, we have decided to move forward the games and you have to host next year. So,
and that's when you all threw Ephraim Serrett in at the deep end and gave him so much. This is my words again. Give him so much pressure. He has so much to do. I know. But that's good.
Ephraim is a hard worker.
Yeah.
He's a very dedicated public servant, and he's committed to just about anything he does. He's done.
I honestly don't know how he deals with the other public servants. But anyway, good night to Ephraim Serrett wherever he is. But
he's a good soul. Yeah. So he was the chairman at that point in time, and then we changed to Douglas Camacho, who is now the chairman of the LOC. He had been the chairman of many of our other LOCs, so we decided to, in the interest of time and to get a more comprehensive view on
to give Ephraim more work,
and to have Ephraim focus on some other things, because he's also doing community support for us.
I know.
Yeah, so that's what's taking place right now. And the LOC, I want to commend every member of the LOC, because they've been working extremely hard, especially the volunteers. The disappointment. So one, having little time to plan. Two, of course, we can always do with more money. This should have been a public-private partnership.
Yeah.
The TTOC, or should I say the Trinidad and Tobago Commonwealth Games Association, came to us asking the government to partner in this public-private partnership, and they asked us for $35 million.
Right.
The ministry, the government gave them 100% of what they asked for, and they committed to raising the rest through their relationship with private sector.
Yes.
I think, unfortunately, the support from private sector has not been what they expected, and they were only able to raise about $7 million in cash.
Yeah.
The rest, I think, is in kind,
yes.
donation of stuff and so on. So that has been a challenge. I learned of this today in our meeting, that is what the contribution was, and this is where they are. So they are facing some challenges, but I know that the government has committed 100% of what their request had been, which is that $35 million.
Is this, when you look at it, a lot of people will ask, obviously, Minister, what happens when these games are over? Because this would have been a massive investment. What are you seeing from your perspective and your government's perspective that Trinidad can benefit after spending $35 million when the games finish on August 11th?
I think this is a good investment for the country, because we get to showcase Trinidad and Tobago, not just our sites and our attractions, the warmth of our people, those who come. Sport tourism is a major part of our sport development trust and our national development agenda. So we have invested in these facilities over the years, whether it's the tennis facility in Tacarigga, the Racket Center, and we're working with the International Tennis Federation to make that a development hub for the region. We're saying we're good to host. We're saying we are a good place for training and development and so on in the different sporting disciplines. It's not only about the development of the sporting disciplines, though. It's development of our people through sport. So the officials are getting to work in and see these international games being operated and contributing to it. A lot of the officials are coming from Trinidad and Tobago. Our athletes are getting to compete on home ground, and as it relates to raising their level and so on. We are showing the rest of the world that we can host, and we're a good place also to come back for Carnival, to come back for the Tobago Heritage. This type of investment provides jobs and opportunities for us as a people as it relates to investment and creating jobs. Here we have 5,000 room nights. These people are going to need transportation, so the taxi cab drivers are going to get some business. They want to experience our local food and delicacies. They're going to be buying up our stuff. They're going to be purchasing trinkets and so on to take back. Those sheets and linens are going to need to be cleaned, so somebody has to do the laundry and so on. So the government is paying for that 5,000 room night during our low season or low tourism season. So it goes a long way for sport tourism and generating economic activity.
When you look at all that has happened, obviously with the refurbishment, particularly, let's start with the Aisley Crawford Stadium. What's going on with some of the other stadiums, some of the other venues that need to be uplifted?
Right. So we started with the refurbishment of Dwight York Stadium, and Dwight York Stadium is going to be getting a new track.
Okay.
We've done a significant amount of the refurbishment at Dwight York Stadium already, where we've refurbished the Crawford Stadium. We then move on to Manny Ramjan to do the lights at Manny Ramjan, and after Manny Ramjan, Larry Gomes. We want to give some of the. We're doing refurbishment right now also at the Atto Bolden Stadium. So it's about reviving and refurbishing all these different stadium and recreational facilities under our watch. Now, I want to remind you.
When you say under your watch, because the reason I'm asking that, Minister, is that I'm trying. I know, for instance, people have said, and I've seen it myself, that the Aisley Crawford Stadium was in a terrible state. So in those days, the responsibility was under Sport TT. Some have told us that they're going to change, and the responsibility might go under UD Cut. The responsibility might go under UD Cut. The responsibility might go under UD Cut.
For Aisley Crawford Stadium?
Yes. Is that true or not? Or is it going to remain with Sport TT?
Not to my
knowledge.
Okay,
good.
It's supposed to remain with Sport TT. We have a number of our national governing bodies hosted there, and it's just about having a proper maintenance plan, because we do good at building facilities. The maintenance is the problem, and that's not only the responsibility of the government; it's also responsibility of the people who use it.
Without a doubt.